Hello there.
It's Mike. Yep, that's how we're going to go. This is what's happening.
And Katie.
And it's episode 176.
And it's the one with the Rescue Rangers and more.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hi, everyone.
Hello there.
That was weird. I don't know what just happened. We just rolled with it.
There's a glitch in the Matrix. Wow. Yeah.
That was new. Huh. Okay. Haven't even been drinking. Not on anything, just...
I just started laughing. I don't know why.
Apparently my face is hilarious right now.
Exactly.
Right?
So, yeah. That's how it was. Hey everyone, how you doing?
Oh,
Marvelous. That's good. Hopefully you're
so glad to
doing
hear.
Well. That's marvelous. Katie got something this weekend. What'd you get, Katie?
What did I get? I got a new pop. We went to Toy Traders, which was very exciting. We hadn't been there for a while, and I got the Turning Red 6-inch Red Panda pop, and it's adorable.
Yeah, it's super cute.
It's super, like, really intense plastic.
Yeah, it's heavy duty.
Like, it's heavy. Implement of destruction heavy. But it's just, she's got a little peace hand, and she's winking, and it's just so fun and so cute. And I'm really glad I got it. It was a wee bit more expensive than I would like to. It's kind of a little bit like, don't tell me. I don't want to see it. Just gonna ride the happiness, excitement train. But in general, pops have gotten quite expensive. So
everything's gotten expensive.
I get it. But I haven't bought a pop for a long time, so it was super fun. So that was exciting too.
It's a super adorable pop. I gotta figure out a way to use it in a photo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how yet, because it is a big pop. But I guess it could be like standing on top of a pile of heroes.
Kiddo decided that they needed to make one of the big, huge ones.
A 10-inch or 12-inch?
A 12, yeah, whatever, of her mom.
That'd be terrifying.
It would be scary because she's not happy. She'd be like Godzilla Panda, which would be pretty intense.
There's that. They need to do movie moments with a 10-inch for that, right? And then the 6-inch May attacking.
Yeah. And then have like the regular size pop of one of her friends or something. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, totally. It would only be $250 pop.
Yeah, well, no big deal. We got this.
That would just take up your entire mantle.
Kiddo was very excited. Well, he was adamant of buying the newest expansion pack for his Exploding Kittens game. It's called Barking Kittens. We got to play that today. Yeah. And it came with a Tower of Power hat, which was a giant cat sitting on your head. Which was
not a beer, which I was disappointed by.
Right? And the cat, it was pretty awesome. It just said, I did what I want. Mike managed to get said Tower of Power right off in the game. And so he had extra cards and all sorts of fun. But it's been a long time since we've actually played through all of the cards in the deck. We have now, this is the third expansion pack. So original and 3 other expansion packs for it. So it's a pretty big deck of cards. Now we kind of fudged the rules a little bit. Kiddo was out pretty darn quick, and he wasn't really happy with that. We let him sit out for a little while, and then we just randomly decided to join in the game. So I'm glad that we did that because that was pretty fun. I ended up being at the very, very end. It wasn't a glorious win because it was just a matter of who died first out of the two of us. There was 2 cards left. So good game. It was pretty impressive.
Good game.
Yeah. Whatever.
Right?
Whatever. Yeah. So that was pretty fun though. That was his excitement for the Toy Traders visit.
Yeah.
So we went down to a mall.
I actually didn't snag anything at Toy Traders that day. There was one thing I wanted. One of the Phantom. That thing looked really cool.
Yeah.
But I had already gotten some things because we went shopping. Yeah,
we went to the mall, and Kiddo hadn't been to the one of the bigger malls there since COVID, actually. So he was all excited to go to like Hot Topic.
Yeah, he actually asked to go, so that was a weird experience.
Yeah, he was excited. He picked up some like Kirby socks. That's his newest thing now, and like
My Hero shirts.
My Hero stuff. So that was pretty fun to go go around and see?
I did get it. It was the first time I got a pop in a long time as well. I got the Beerus.
Yes, you did.
At Hot Topic, an exclusive where he's eating noodles. So now I've got Goku eating noodles, Beerus eating noodles, and then we got a little chibi cat eating noodles.
Yep, it's pretty exciting.
Cat or whatever it is.
I love that Beerus is sitting on like a lawn chair looking throne, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, added to the noodle eating collection.
Yeah, just gotta get more things eating noodles.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, I want a Pusheen eating noodles.
We got Pusheen eating pizza.
We do. I guess we do have that.
So that's that.
Yeah.
That's that.
So we need something eating sweets of some sort.
Well, that's just us.
Well, we also are eating pizza, so we shouldn't have Pusheen cat.
Yeah. We did make pizza this weekend. We're making pizza like crazy, but I kind of messed it up. I made the dough. I made the too much dough this time. Usually it's been pretty thin, and this stuff got like, I was at an appointment, so it rose longer than I expected. So it was like thick.
Well, you were going to make one extra pizza, and I think he could have made 2 or 3 extra pizzas with the amount of dough if it was all cut properly with that. But it was a matter of trial and error for it. But yeah, the last piece was probably a good half-inch thick crust. It cooked beautifully. Yeah. So that was a bonus. I mean, it wasn't like it was gummy or anything like that. So it tasted
everything tasted marvelous. It was
we had some good leftovers the next day, which was fabulous.
Yeah, it was just thick.
Yeah.
Thick pizza.
But it was so good.
I'm getting good at making pizza.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to create Shell Yeah. Totally pizza. If you get the reference, you're cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our weekend. Hopefully you had a good weekend. For us up here, it was a long weekend. I know in the States and stuff, next weekend's a long weekend. So, or whenever you've listened to, who knows when it was. So yeah, we checked out some movies. Well, we actually checked out a TV show. We only watched 2 episodes. The Kids in the Hall are back.
Oh, okay.
And we watched 2 episodes of The Kids in the Hall.
Yes.
And what did you think of those first 2 episodes?
I was laughing a lot. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure how they would handle the jump in time for their comedy. You know, if it would feel like they were just trying to recreate something that was old. But I was pleasantly surprised on how much I was laughing. Yeah. I was a little shocked by the full frontal male nudity in the first scene. That was a little like, oh, wow, we're doing this. Okay. Yeah. But apparently that's what happens when you don't go on cable television and you go on. I mean, it was like naked old man there. Because
Kevin McKidd and Dave Foley?
Kevin McDonald, sorry. And Foley. Yeah. Yep. They were right there.
And the comedy was that they were,
but it was hilarious.
And the guys were like, "Yeah, we got to make sure that they're actually naked."
Well, because they weren't
jump for a moment. Jump.
Yeah, we got to make them jump. And those Frank Beans are just bouncing. Yep. Like, because it was the robbers. He's like, they're gonna be looking for guys with clothes on, so they strip and be like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, we were looking for guys with full clothes. They were described with clothes, so you guys are naked, so you guys can't be the right guys, right?" And it was ridiculous. I
think the one that made me cry though was the Zoom meeting where they were fed nanobots to it would make their screen go red if they were thought about masturbating, because someone was caught masturbating during a meeting. Yeah. And so then it was...
So when he was just trying to clean off some crumbs from his pants. Yeah. And it kept going red on him. And he was just like, no, I'm just trying to clean up, I'm not doing anything, nefarious or anything, just trying to clean up the things. And then pretty soon they were all going off. And then they just decided to have one big masturbating party on Zoom. And I was like, oh my gosh, I will never look at a group chat meeting ever again the same. Yep.
Never gonna be able to do a Zoom meeting again. And
when it's everyone on the screen, I'm just gonna be like, screen off. I'm gonna laugh.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
Yeah. That was. I think that was it was awesome because it was showing then current comedy, a current situation for something, and just like the ridiculousness of it all, right? So yeah, I was very happy with it. I'm excited to watch the next couple episodes. There's 8 episodes total. 8 episodes
on Amazon.
So it'll be fun to watch some more of that coming up. And that was definitely exciting. So the World's Last Glory Hole was also a hilarious
That
scene.
One was really good too.
So it was a national monument of it. Yeah. So it was just uncomfortable enough which is always a good level of humor.
So you know what else was slightly uncomfortable? Uncharted. So we finally checked out the Uncharted movie, Tom Holland, directed by the guy that did the first Venom and Zombieland, Ruben Fleischer, or whatever, how do you say it? And with Mark Wahlberg. So,
and Tom Holland.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, okay. I said that.
Okay.
So I enjoy the Uncharted video games.
Yes,
you've quite
always
a bit.
Played them. You've always had. Have you played all of them?
Yes.
Yes.
And all the way through multiple times. And
because I know you were apprehensive about this. I've watched you play the game, but I don't know well enough to really know a comparison to it. I was just going on a movie idea.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So here, I'm going to give you a 2-4 review for myself. As a stupid action movie that was rather forgettable, it wasn't a bad couple hours.
There was a lot of negativity in that statement, though.
It was ridiculous.
Stupid and forgettable were also the predictions of the description, but it was okay.
But it was if it
had just a fluff action movie.
If it hadn't been Uncharted, I probably would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
If it had just been Joe Blow, the adventurer off to seek pirate treasure with, right? Yeah. It probably would have been more enjoyable. But because it's an IP based on,
something that you really enjoy,
something that has such a rich mythology over 4 games, 4.5 games.
Well, you have built up characters, right?
Seeing that it was like a greatest hits of like scenes that were from some of the, right? Because it basically takes a lot from Uncharted 4. And only a couple things from a couple of the other ones. But then also like the puzzles were just so blasé. There was never really, the puzzles are dangerous and there was never danger in the puzzles. And then it just ended really quickly. So as an Uncharted movie, I think it really did fail.
Yeah.
Like it really did fail. So if you've never seen Uncharted, or
like for myself, like I know the very bare bones, watched some of the movie, don't remember much of the story from your game. Sorry. It was just like, I know Nathan Drake. Yeah. I've heard of the character Sully. Like, I know that he's a treasure. I know there was something with his brother. Like, that's like really the crux of my story for it, right? So going into it, it was more of the, okay, let's see what this is. I also agree with you that it was somewhat boring for the story, the puzzle solving that I do remember from your game. But even without thinking of the game based, some of it didn't really feel high enough stakes for what they were dealing with. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like how much Spider-Man I was seeing in Tom Holland itself. I also don't like how badly they spoiled it with the trailers.
Oh yeah.
And
because there was no surprises.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest complaints. So we had the falling out of the airplane thing. Like as soon as you saw the car, you see the airplane, you're like, oh yeah, I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna fall out of this, and then this is gonna happen. Oh, the car's gonna fall out. Like that wasn't cool. They also showed the boat and the ship being lifted up out of the jungle in the trailer.
Yeah.
That was a huge part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that they actually found the ship and they were removing the ship. There was a chunk afterwards, but still, like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. I was that there set up a bad taste in my mouth for it, because then it lost the excitement of that thing. Those things.
Well, even the scene with on the lights in the auction house.
Yes.
Was in the trailer.
Yeah.
Almost basically every action scene that was in the movie, they left all the boring parts for you to find out.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was the sign I guess, yeah, I'm going to say it's a bad movie.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I was hoping for it to be better because I really like that style of stuff of solving the problems. And it was like a National Treasure-esque thing, right? I did like them, going and trying to find the actual catacomb things and looking in the heaven and hell. Like that scene, that was fun. I liked them trying to find that. but that's not enough to float the movie. It wasn't enough to forgive a lot of the boring or the already known or anything like that. Yeah. So I was sad that I was disappointed because I would never care about watching the movie again. It was not, the characters themselves were not written well enough to be like, this was super exciting. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't not even enjoyable enough to be like, I'm so glad they won. Yeah. Type thing. Because he still just really felt sad and bad for them. And, just, I don't know. It was a letdown. I was sadly disappointed.
It's one of those ones where if they make a sequel, I'm not going to rush out to see it. No, it's going to be a wait.
I'm going to wait until it's free.
Yeah. Right. Like until it's part of a streaming that's just there. Right.
Yeah. And that was disappointing because I really do like Tom Holland. As I say, I like that style of movie. But it just.
Yeah. Not there. Uncharted did not even fill up a mini cup. It was that sad. Toothpick holder didn't even get a drop. It was nothing. And like I was trying to be positive about it, but a realization that no, it was a letdown.
Yeah.
It was a letdown. So I don't recommend it unless you're getting it for free.
Yeah.
And you really have nothing else to do. So the other two movies we're going to talk about are worth your time, I think. So the other night, I was sitting there waiting for Katie to come downstairs, and I was looking up a date of something that was supposed to be hitting on Netflix. And I came across a trailer for this movie called Senior Year. And I did not know that Rebel Wilson was in it. I'm not a big fan of hers, but she lost a ton of weight. And like it didn't even look like her at first. Well, until you heard her.
Yeah, I had gotten an email from Netflix about it, and this new, this looks new, and I'm like, what is this? Like, whatever, I just didn't pay any attention to it. And he called me down. And he's like, oh yeah, Rebel Wilson's in the movie. Okay, no. And then she started talking. Oh my god, it is her. Yeah. Like I still even throughout the movie couldn't even see it. It was like a CG version of her.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Right.
So we
watched the trailer and Kate was like, well, you just want to watch it? I'm like, sure, why not?
Because it actually looked really fun.
It was early enough in the night and it was only an hour and a half kind of movie, and those 90-minute movies are
rare to take advantage. Yeah. So we found Senior Year.
Yeah, new on Netflix. The premise is that she's a cheerleader that gets in an accident during a cheer and wakes up 20 years later.
Yes, she's been in a coma for that long, and she's basically, imagine someone who was just about to graduate, hasn't grown at all in her mind, and is reconnecting to people, and then she's trying to basically go back and finish her senior year. So it's
the way it was.
Yeah, going back and trying to finish and kind of find some closure on some things. And so it definitely looked like it was going to be a weird, interesting time. And I just a quick right out the gates, I was very pleasantly surprised with it. Like I really, really enjoyed it. I liked that there wasn't gross humor in it or corny, like, oh my god, this is terrible, or why are they doing this? I've never really had problems with Rebel Wilson. I think I mainly know her from the Pitch Perfect series, and her character got weird at the very end ones of the original in the movie. She wasn't she's a decent actress. You can just tell that this character was written terrible. Yeah. And so I was excited to see that, but she did a really good job of this. She was it basically starts from her growing up.
She's 17.
Yeah. So she's the kind of the, it's showing the hit of puberty and the desire to then become popular, and how she had changed, and she's the cheer captain. She wants to be the homecoming queen and or prom queen, and she's just on the top of the world, and it's her knocking it back into place and getting some perspective on life. So on Quicksand, what do you think?
I laughed a lot more than I expected because it was legitimately funny in spots. Mm-hmm. Because it had those nostalgic beats too, because it's like, she was supposed to have graduated in like 2002 or something? Yeah, 2002. Yeah, 2002. Right? So you still can remember some of the jokes and some of the fashion and
some of the stuff that they showed back then. You're like, yep, that was real life.
Yeah. and like just kind of those things. And it was just interesting to have that kind of,
yeah,
because that's only 2 years away from when I had graduated.
I was in high school at that time. And
so seeing that, it was kind of a fun, nostalgic, journey.
Well, the clothes that they had and the way
her posters on her.
Yeah. And seeing her room and the magazines and the way the school was run and what was acceptable from teachers and the school, just everything. And it was like,
so it's that total
little time capsule.
Yeah.
Right?
That total fish out of water kind of comedy where it's like, there she is in an almost 40-year-old's body going back to high school to finish her last month.
Yeah.
Right. And her friend's like, has become the principal. And she's like, no, this is a bad idea. Like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, actually, I have a doctor's note that says mentally I'm 17. And she's like, I can't believe that someone actually used a doctor's note to go back to high school.
Right. Yeah, that was, so it's interesting because it had a lot of good commentary on the way things were, quote unquote, always run in schools and what was acceptable when we were in school and a different way of thinking about it now. And when you have someone who just thrown out of the system, not knowing anything, not seeing how culture maybe has changed, it definitely kind of was a bit of a slap in the face, right? I can see her frustrations of like, well, what about this? And why is this happening? And it was basically a lot more of the equality that shows up and the representation for things. And while it seemed like, you wanted to sympathize with her and be like, well, this totally makes sense to have the prom king and queen and everything like that. And then the more that you saw the way the high school was kind of running, you're like, oh, well, there's some good perspective on things. Like that reminder that just because it was what we had doesn't mean that it has to be that same way now. And it actually was like, for something ridiculous of a comedy, it had a lot of good thinking points to it and a lot of good
also
reflections.
Talked about social media and almost the dangers of it.
Yeah.
And the idea of like
creating these personas on
because like her kind of like arch rival from high school still was her rival as an adult. Yeah. And he started trying to use her daughter against her and like...
Yeah, there's a lot of terrible vindictive behavior that, maybe those people then took that out into the world now and have just found more quote unquote current mature ways to be the same people that they were in high school, right?
So there was a lot of, Chris Parnell was in it, plays her dad. He did a great job.
Yeah, he's really awesome.
Right? Like,
I really like him.
He had a really... delivered his lines really well. He wasn't super goofy. Like, it was like the serious Chris Parnell. Yeah. Right? And
he was just... like soft enough to really feel like he was a caring dad. Yeah. And... yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with him.
The only thing that was kind of weird was like the end with the dancing at the end. That was a little
so over the top, right?
Yeah.
But it was like weirdly okay and like bringing it back together because it was that bit of like, this makes me feel like an old comedy movie, but it's also super inclusive and exciting to show everyone being together. Happy. And I'm like, it's just so feel good. Yeah. Like it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And I loved it. No, so like I can see myself easily rewatching this movie. Yeah. Like I can see myself adding this to like the idea of Pitch Perfect where I'm like, I just need to feel
some
good.
Laughs and some positivity moving.
Yeah. And I was thoroughly impressed. So I would highly recommend Senior Year if you like, that fluffy comedy. Yeah. Feel good confidence, it's a coming of age story. It really is, right? Because she has
to grow up in a month.
Yeah, she has to
17 to
things.
38.
Right, and that's just a lot to deal with, and she does it really well without. And it doesn't feel super forced for as much as it can be in that time frame, and it, some really good changes. And I thought that it's fun because you see her still being like a 17-year-old in her body. And it's that slight little bits of uncomfortable of like no, it's totally true. That's exactly how you would have acted when you were 17. Yeah. And it feels kind of awkward because she's in, nearly 40. But I would really recommend it.
I love the one joke though with the, I just found out there's like 8 other Fast and Furious movies.
Like she's traumatized by this. Like, what the hell has happened since I've been out?
Right?
Just even that line alone, it's like, oh my God, there are so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
The reminder of what is acceptable.
Right? And 10 is coming.
Yes. Oh. Yep.
But yeah, no, senior year was on Netflix. It's a fun little thing. Like, I laughed quite a bit. And, usually I don't find those ones that interesting, but this one was funny.
Yeah.
Right? Even the trailer just made me chuckle.
Well, and it had, of course, romantic elements to it, but that wasn't the crux. Necessarily the main portion. Like, she was trying to get her senior boyfriend back because it was the idea that
Justin Hartley did a great job playing a dirtbag.
Oh my God. Normally he's such a nice guy, right? Because he just looks like the nice pretty boy. But he was a dirtbag.
Yeah.
He was pretty, but terrible.
But you could tell his life's just so broken. That's why he's a dirtbag.
He looked like he was drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And his last line that he delivers when it was kind of like everything's broken and you can just really see how
it's not necessarily that he's necessarily a dirtbag. It's a situation he's in. He's like trapped in a bad.
Well, it's like for him, it was this is what life was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Right. It was no different than her arch nemesis, where it was like, well, this is just what I'm supposed to do with life instead of thinking about things. So he's a stereotypical jock from high school, and it was just like, I'm falling into this, and I have money, and it's just this is what happens.
Yeah.
And he's just so vacant, And he delivers his lines so well that
who doesn't want a Hummer on graduation night?
Not the line that's what I was talking about, but
I know which one you're talking about.
But he did such a good job, and because he's still like, I thought it was so funny because he's still, as soon as she wakes up, it was just like, oh, sweet wife, whatever, like my girlfriend's back,
right?
But yeah, so it does have a romantic element to it, but it turns not to be the crux of the movie, which was really exciting. And there's there's a lot of characters, the current students that she befriends, and they balance it really well of caring about all those different characters and really feeling like, yes, there's a win, Yeah. So
yeah, worth a laugh.
I was very happy. I will be watching it again.
Chip, 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 Chip and Dale. Rescue Rangers.
Chip, 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 Chip and Dale.
When there's danger. So Chip and Dale got the live action CG reboot-ish. That is the dreaded doom of all nostalgic adventures.
Yep.
Right off the bat, when that thing was announced, it was like, yeah, we're going to be doing Chip and Dale. It's going to be live action hybrid with CG. And guess what? John Maloney and Andy Samberg.
There we go.
are going to be the voice of Chip and Dale. Right off the bat, it was just like seriously?
What the hell is happening?
We're going for celebrity voices. Yep. And then they're like, oh yeah, and the Lonely Island guys are going to be writing it with Samberg and directing it too. So it was like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it is going to be a Disney Plus, so it's direct to streaming. So it was even more like, what? And then when we first saw the fact that Dale was going to be CG and Chip was going to be 2D CG.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit concerning, right? Because I was wondering what was going to happen with it.
Yeah.
And it showed up. So the whole premise is the idea that Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was actually a TV show. And this is like 30 years later.
Well, I love Chip and Dale are actors.
Yeah.
And I love that whole premise right there allowed them to have the freedom to not touch Rescue Rangers, the original. It didn't, because that was something that actually happened then.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the TV show that they were on.
Yep.
So whatever they said right now doesn't touch anyone's precious childhood.
Right?
No childhoods are ruined because they're not changing what actually happened. And I thought that was genius.
It's not a reimagination. It's
it's the story that hasn't been told yet for it, right?
The sequel, the untold
it's just
history of in the background.
30 years later, see what's happening type thing, right?
So that was a bit of a interesting twist on the whole scheme of things.
Yeah.
So
I liked that they, to explain their voices, that they had they were voice acting in the TV show.
They created characters.
And I was like, that was genius of them.
Yeah.
That's why. And at one point they made them squabble and sound like their squeaky little selves.
Yep.
I was impressed with that.
So. Yeah. It was interesting. The only thing with that, though, is they didn't touch on the fact at all that they were like actors prior to that in all the other Disney cartoons. Right?
Yeah.
Which was really weird.
Yeah.
Right? But it was quite interesting to see, how it all played out.
So it was turned into a Roger Rabbit feel, right? Is that vibe?
Yeah.
Where all the cartoon characters are actual actors and beings in the world. And one thing that I know you were completely blown away by, how many licenses there were.
This was a thing that was a big surprise for me because there was more non-Disney licenses and characters in the movie than Disney characters.
I'd be curious to actually, because someone out there has made a count and tally of everything. Be curious to see the actual numbers.
Because the Disney characters showed up more in the end when you see what happened to them.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, they I don't know how they got Paramount to let them use Ugly Sonic,
because they had so it was like a con, so you had all these different fandoms around. Ugly Sonic,
the original Sonic from the trailer that everyone lost their shit over. And
so that's what that is. I couldn't remember what that was. So that's the human teeth thing.
That was the look of what he was supposed to look like. Kind of. They made him uglier, right? It looks like he's been strung out now and out of work. But yeah, and then there was that giant fan, oh my god, and then then they went back and they redid it all, and then Sonic has the best video game adaptation, most profitable.
So he played he was a pretty big pivotal character for sure. So
right,
that was quite
it's
fun.
Not just a cameo.
Yeah.
The other thing is he's voiced by Tim Robinson, instead of course Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
That's right. So
nice.
So it's a different hedgehog was cast, and then people were like, nope, and then we got to hire that other one. Right? He was the bootleg before they bootlegged.
Right? So it's basically, it shows them that they broke apart after the cancellation of Rescue Rangers, and then you jump ahead where they've become estranged, and they accidentally get pulled back together because
tunes are going missing.
Well, the tunes are going missing, and Monterey is, he's basically having a problem.
Drug addict.
He's strung out on cheese and can't stop buying, and he owes some money to some bad people, and those bad people are suspected in the numerous disappearance of characters, and so then they get pulled into the detective of trying to save him, and then turn around trying to save these missing characters, right? And it was quite funny to see. It was clearly drugs,
right?
And so well handled for it. But
yeah, I laughed hard in this movie. This is, out of all the three movies we watched, this one here is probably your best bet for just quirky ridiculousness that you can also watch with your kid.
Yeah,
because a lot of this stuff's gonna fly over their head. It's a who's who.
There's so much to look at.
It's a who's who of every background has characters, every billboard has something, every poster has something, every candy wrapper has something.
I looked down the cat at one point and I felt like I missed something, literally a millisecond looking at the screen, and that was exciting to be able to have that, right? You never know what you're going to see on there, right?
Yeah, it was just to eat, like the one point where they're crawling through the men's gentlemen's club, and they're like it's the dad from South Park.
Yeah. Like how do they have South Park in a Disney movie?
Right?
Yeah.
And clearly, a Disney Plus too.
Yeah, it's not Stars or anything like that,
right? When it came to Roger Rabbit,
well, it goes to show then that it was the idea that if you don't know South Park, then it's just going to be some other guy
in the background,
right? So,
right, but it's amazing. The fact that they had Batman, they actually had a voice for Batman versus E.T.
Yeah.
How did Warner Brothers?
That's what you're so he's very concerned. How did this happen?
Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney approached them and said, "Hey, we want to have Batman fight E.T." And both of them are like, "Okay." Like, I'm blown away by how they allowed so many things to be interacted.
I love how there was so many different sizes of buildings to account for their different characters.
Yeah.
Like they had this apartment building that the chipmunks lived at, and then you see the humans next to it and they're like stooping in there. It looked all like full size until you had something other bigger and you're like, wait a second, it's a miniature tiny little apartment building.
Yep.
So I really, all that sort of stuff, that was one thing Kiddo really liked, was seeing all that and all the different sizes of things.
You know they have chipmunk sized cars, right? The human stuff's so cool. Also too, I want to know how they were allowed to use Peter Pan in that way. Because the
estate is always much more particular about it.
Yeah, because back in the day when Bill William was doing Fables, he wasn't allowed to make Peter Pan a bad guy.
And Peter Pan is
so
not
unless because it's based on the Disney Peter Pan, they're allowed to.
It's not based on the original story. It's based on just their license. So maybe because it's their likeness.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. I have questions.
I have legal questions.
I have so many questions when it came down to it. Muppet fights. Why can't we see more of those?
There was awesome. They go down this main street, and it kind of has the Disneyland-esque Main Street vibe to it. Like you see stuff, and you're like, "That looks like
we're on Main Street now.
That looks like the cafe." Like this is weird, but it's all fronts for illegal operations. I'm like, what? They're making Disney Main Street illegal operation fronts? What?
Like, there's also that. Like,
their own movie?
How did Disney just be like, yeah, you guys do whatever you want? Like, however they got this movie greenlit.
Kudos on them.
Yeah, because there is so much in there. Like, they're like, all right.
We really enjoyed it, though.
Disney didn't let Krusty the Clown have a cigarette in an action figure that's $55. That's a limited, like, you have to physically pre-order it. But they allowed Monterey Jack to be a drug addict.
He was on cheese, man. That's real life. Real life.
But,
people don't realize how addictive cheese is, and that it's an actual drug. And so people can relate to that.
There's so many.
Because it's not actually opium. But there was a cheese den. It was an opium den. They were all strung out. They had this one all like sitting all like hunched over and being hand-fed cheese.
More, please.
And it was so creepy.
Like, the movie shouldn't even... It's not even like a...
That's what I love, though. It was so Roger Rabbit. Because it was so... not appropriate at some points for everyone, but it was just enough that it was okay.
Yeah.
And I was so happy with how it turned out because, as I say, it doesn't tread on anything from before. It explains all the things that were changed for it.
Yeah.
And there was so much to look at.
Oh, yeah. No. It was funny. It was funny. Like, as much as I have my weird...
The Coca-Cola bear was a character.
They got those dead Polar Express eyes.
Oh yeah.
There
was Seth Rogen and like
all Seth Rogen. How did they get DreamWorks characters?
Yep.
I have questions.
It was all these characters started showing. I was like, wait a second, they're all Seth Rogen voices.
Yep.
They're all of his characters in one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was thoroughly amusing.
So.
And it was also feel good at the end, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like...
I mean, we got Darkwing Duck at the end.
And it was Darkwing Duck. This is not what we wanted. We wanted Darkwing Duck. That was so funny. Oh, that was so funny.
And you know what? Throughout the entire movie, there is magic and mystery.
There was even some history.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You just got to look for it and you'll see it.
Yeah, it was there.
So... No, the Rescue Rangers was like totally legit, like hilarious.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm dumbfounded over here trying to figure out the legality of how it all fit together, you know, it just it was a fun movie for something that seemed like it could have gone horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. I ended up being pretty damn decent.
It was just a buddy movie. Kind of reminded me of Galaxy Quest. With the idea of the big time close family of actors, and then with all something the con stuff, and that some of them are trying to still live this dream, and others just could care less about it, and they're coming back together and realizing that they were really close family. Like that's exactly what it's that vibe, right? And the
other guys were like getting high, and they were like, "Hey, what if we remade Galaxy Quest, but with the rescue?" Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this is like we've kind of spoiled parts of it. This is like a huge spoiler. So
thank you for joining us. If you want to leave, peace out. But continue if you.
What is your legitimate thoughts on the fact of who Gadget picked to mate with?
Really bizarre. It happened, and I was like, double take. What? What are the weird little fly mouse babies? Right? That have happened. What is going? This is proof that they were high. They. What if Gadget
was actually in love with Zipper?
Yes.
And Zipper sounds like the Allstate guy.
He is the Allstate guy.
I know. But like,
I thought that was hilarious. He's totally silent, but he's also this like smooth talking guy.
Like, what?
Because one was strung out on cheese. And apparently the chipmunks were too much of a stretch. So we went for the fly.
But they're all like mutant hybrids. Like they have mouse parts and fly parts. It's creepy.
Yep.
It's eerie.
It's super creepy. There's so many of them. And they're so happy though.
They're so happy, but like it's
no, I don't know how it happened. It was really disturbing. As I say, someone was really, really high.
Like That was like a big stretch. That's like fan fiction to the max. Like,
so how do you like the idea of mouse fly hybrids?
Not cool. Not cool.
Mice can fly around the house instead of scurrying and hiding in places.
Yes.
Yep, that is nightmarish right there. They need to make a nightmare movie, like a horror movie on that. Just that.
Fly mice?
Fly mice.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
That's like, no, that's creepy.
Some face.
No,
yeah.
Why?
No.
Flice sounds better, but then it also sounds like lice.
Yeah.
It's just creepy.
It is.
Like, it was just one of those things where it's like, because I had seen that Tad Stone's, the guy that helped animate and all that with it and worked on it, had said that they finally solved the debate of who.
Sorry about that.
Who Gadget picked, and I was like, and when neither of them were there, I was thinking it was gonna be like something different completely.
Yeah,
right.
Never expected.
Never expected it to be Zipper. Like, I don't like. That's one thing. If my buddy watches this movie, because like I'm gonna throw him under the bus, but he used to have like a hardcore crush on Gadget, and I'm gonna be curious to find if he watches it what he's gonna say about this. Like that's like right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
The other thing I do question on it though is like, so they still got Tress McNally to play Gadget, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know why they
Which is funny. Then it shows then she didn't have that voice feel like. She sounds so similar, right? So, go ahead.
But like, why did they get then Eric Bana to play Monterey Jack?
Yeah.
Instead of just getting, because it was done by like what, Corey Burton or Jim Cummings. They both did him.
Okay.
So it's like,
and we all know that
Frank
Cummings is always available,
right? Like, it's just a weird like. That was the one that they needed to get someone with, unless they like, because he's actually Australian, they wanted to actually have an Australian voice him.
Maybe it was that.
Maybe.
Where, just a little bit more of the real feel idea versus the fake Australian.
Yeah.
That would have happened.
So, but that was just another ponder.
Yeah.
I rack my brain over the stupidest shit sometimes, but
it's okay. There's a lot going on there. So you have so many questions. You were trying to think of things that you might have easier answers to than the licensing.
Well, because it was so much going on. Like, it is literally like it's a bingo card of like, what can you spot? Like,
well, at one point you're like, that looks like He-Man's boots.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is actually He-Man.
And Skeletor. Like,
ponies are there.
There is so many characters from so many different studios in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I can pinpoint, as I say, I can pinpoint more things that aren't Disney than were Disney.
Yeah.
And which is the thing that's weird.
It's almost like they used some of their Disney properties in the knockoff way instead of the others. Maybe they couldn't use their other properties as knockoff versus their own.
Yeah.
So maybe they had to, then they might have been like Roger Rabbit had, where you had to have certain amounts of like matching feels for things to be able to use them. So maybe they had to use more of their license on the places where they kind of warped them versus others, right?
Yeah.
Because as much as there was like E.T. and Batman, there wasn't really one winning against the other or saying one was worse or better, right? It was just the concept of it. So it'd be curious to watch it again, knowing the story and being able to pay attention to some of those details on how different characters are used.
Yeah.
And see, because that's how your brain especially works, is like trying to figure this out and like creating the rationale behind why a company would allow this character to be used.
Right.
So I'm excited to be able to watch it again.
I think it'll be a fun rewatch. Totally. I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's humorous enough.
Yeah.
But I'll be watching more of the background and everything more than anything,
right?
But yeah. So Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. It's definitely a laugh riot.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Not expecting it to have gone as good.
Mm-hmm.
I love one of the jokes that I love though was that they make fun, like the fact that because they own the Chipmunks now because of Fox, but they were able to they were able to, like, they got the rapping Chipmunks and Chip's like, of course, yes, they're rapping, that makes him hip and cool, right? And then later on they have to try to rap and he's like, no, I'm not doing it, it's the worst thing you can possibly do. And what was awesome was that I love this scene because they weren't good at it.
Yes.
They were terrible at it. And it was even better because of that.
Yeah, that it wasn't just this natural talent.
Yeah.
To have them be able to do this and just easily throw down with beats.
Yeah.
Feel, right? It's like, no, they were awkward and it was terrible and it was just a time waste and distraction more than anything, right?
And I'm looking at you, Space Jam Legacy. I'm looking at you and Porky Pig.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was bullshit.
Oh, I would like to point out right there that Mike was the first one to swear. I restrained myself.
Is shit really a swear word?
Oh, good gracious. That's what you're going to do?
I'm just saying. Throwing down.
Touche.
Because, like, according to, like, well, hey, we watched something.
So we're done with the Rescue Rangers?
Yeah, we're
good.
Hey, you know what was interesting? Because Uncharted, I'm gonna flip back to Uncharted for some reason, because I thought about cigarettes and smoking, and it was interesting because the ratings board says that you can smoke in a historical drama as long as it's not fictional in some form. It's more historically accurate. Like it can't be like a romantic thing. Like if it's a war movie, you can show smoking, your rating won't go to R.
Because you're not trying to glamorize it in fictional.
But it was interesting because I was like, well, Uncharted's supposed to be only PG. Like, what the hell, right? Mm-hmm. And because there was a lady at the beginning that was going to smoke, but he never lit the cigarette and she put it away. And that's how they were able to show.
Because his letter didn't work and she never did smoke.
So I was able to keep that because she never lit the cigarette. But they could show all that violence and all the suggested sex that was in Uncharted and still keep the PG rating. But yet smoking was what would have sent it to an R.
I still don't understand that. Like, I don't know. Even back then when all smoking was available and it was okay and around, like, nothing on TV ever made me want to smoke. It was the people around me.
Yeah.
So we can't police that. It's up to parents, dare I say, to police the people that your children are around and the situations that they are in. And I've never once felt inclined to smoke because of a TV show or a movie.
Yeah, that was just a thought. I remember seeing that, and I forgot to tell you about that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
But
and on that note,
yeah, right. I still like as much as tame as Rescue Rangers was.
Yeah,
it pushed that PG rating.
Oh, it did.
For some of
especially
the
because of like say the Monterey Jack with all the cheese and the cheese den. Like it made me uncomfortable with it. I was like, oh my god, this is totally an opium den.
Yeah,
like holy cow.
Yeah,
and the idea of just what it was referring to was so clear for someone who already knows, though, and that's the difference, right? You know, Kiddo would never have been like, oh, they're all on drugs. It would have just been like, haha, he's on cheese, you know. And it's like, I don't know what's worse, like for him to not understand, like, no, this is not okay to be like this because they're on drugs.
Yeah.
Versus like, haha, cheese is so addictive.
Right.
You know? So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I... Go ahead. No, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It was worth it out of the 3. That's like, you know, watch it. Watch senior year.
Yeah.
Don't really watch Uncharted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
But we got a lot coming up the next time. We got there's a lot of movies coming out, which is pretty spectacular.
We got the Bob's Burger movie coming out.
Top Gun
Maverick.
Found out Katie wants to see that. So okay.
It's a Tom Cruise military movie. Of course I want to see it.
America came out.
America. Mainly Tom Cruise, let's be honest.
And then we have the Jurassic Saga coming to its finale.
Yes.
So, and we will be rewatching the Jurassic Park movies, all of them, which will be an exciting radnesia for y'all. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there we go. That's it.
That's everything. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Remember, stay rad, dudes.